What's going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building, baby, and we, of course, got to talk about the Real Housewives of Dubai. So, we are back for episode 2, and we are about to get into this thing right here, okay? Before we get into that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, join the texting community at 202-918-3386. And be sure to visit amirin.com and get our CMOS capsules at 40% off using code LaQuan. Okay. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and stage dive into this episode because it's titled The GOAT for a reason. Okay. So we start the episode off with Sarah. We get an introduction of, or I guess an education of what she considers to be toxic masculinity that she's experienced in her culture in Dubai and how she's trying to raise her son differently. And I'm thinking as I'm listening to Sarah that she's kind of the voice of reason on this show. And I'm loving this confessional outfit with this like sort of jacket, like this almost kind of military, almost inspired jacket with this tulle skirt. I guess you call it tulle. I don't know what it's called. It could be called lace or feathers. I mean, it's not feathers, but it looks like it's tulle to me. Anyway, the dress looks amazing. She looks amazing in it. And she talks about preserving the traditions of her culture and really trying to instill those traditions in her son. So then we move over to Carolyn Brooks and Lisa Milan, who are meeting up for a mommy's night out. Is it just me, or does Carolyn Brooks look like a version of K Michelle? To me, every time I look at her now, I see K Michelle's face, but there is something like slightly messy and obscure about Brooks, and I am just in love with her sort of messy persona. I always love characters that, give us a little bit of an enigma. Like, Lisa makes a reference to not really knowing exactly who Carolyn Brooks is, even though they are friends, because she says that Carolyn Brooks will one day say she's Jamaican, one day say she's Afro Latina, and then the next day she's going to probably say she's Native Emirati. So you just don't know what kind of Brooks you're going to get from Miss Carolyn Brooks, at least according to Lisa. But anyway, in the present, Lisa has missed their little kikis and they are both look stunning. So Brooks, so here's the thing. It's two Carolines on the show, so I'm going to either call them Brooks or Stanbury, kind of like the ladies call them. So just get used to that. Anyway, Brooks regales us with the fact that she bonds with Lisa because of her grandmother's mother's sister's husband, grandmother, papa, somebody in her family was 100% Jamaican. And that's when we get Lisa telling us, girl, listen, in her confessional, she's like, listen, you don't know what you're going to get from Brooks. You don't even know what she's going to be half the time. And it's never going to be the same story twice. Okay. Anyway, Brooks brings up Nina's Instagram, and it's a post with Caroline saying that every blonde needs a brunette bestie. So basically, this is the story. Nina allegedly had talked a lot of crap about Caroline Stanbury to Lisa and to Ayan before she actually became cool with Caroline Stanbury. So now that she is cool with her, she's posting photos on Instagram like they're besties. So Brooks remembers that Nina has been the only person in the friendship circle who has spoken so badly about Caroline Stanbury. And Lisa mentions that Nina told her a bunch of stuff about Caroline when Caroline was trying to befriend Lisa. So it was so bad, she says she won't repeat it, but then she does. Okay. She says that Nina said that Caroline is ghetto, ratchet, and trashy, and those are the good things. Okay. So then Lisa asks Brooks how she and Ayan are doing, and they kind of, Brooks says they kind of go back and forth and will be besties later. So at that point they take shots and decide to go to an after party afterwards. And I wrote in my notes, Brooks is the perfect amount of mess for me. LOL. All right, so we see Caroline Stanbury and Sergio are prepping to have the girls over. So Brooks arrives first. Then we learn that Caroline and Sergio are buying a house. Now, here's the thing about buying a house in Dubai, apparently. If you're self-employed, you have to put down at least 30% on the home that you're planning to buy. So it's not that easy. And she's been in the current house that she's in for the past 5 years, and they're having a new house built that won't be built until the summer. So I don't know what they're going to do at the end of December when the lease is up on this current house that she had been renting, because she never intended to stay in Dubai all that long in the first place. Okay. And apparently when you go stay in Dubai for a little bit, you can't help but stay for a long time. That's what the people say. Anyway, Sarah arrives next, and then it's like 3 or 4 dogs running around. Okay. They recap the energy from the other night. Brooke says she felt blindsided by Ayan, but in the previous conversation, it was like, Brooke, girl, didn't you just tell her that you just told us that y'all fight all the time? Anyway, um, whatever. Sarah says that she sees some trauma in Ayan because she's certified in life coaching. So she understands that she felt like there were things that may have triggered Ayan from the dinner party from the night before. So Sarah says, I think we should always leave people, especially her, better than we found her. And Caroline Stanbury is like, no, I don't want to accept her time or her energy. Her trauma is not going to add to mine. Okay. I do like that saying. I mean, because here's the thing. In my real life, if I feel like a person is bringing me some type of drama, I'm not really thinking about their trauma because I'm trying to deal with my own stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like I heard this saying one time, I don't have any more room in my hospital for you. Okay. I am the only patient here, and I do not have room or time, equipment, or resources to add any extra patients into this hospital. So you're gonna have to take yourself down to the next spot and try to get some treatment there. Meanwhile, speaking of Ayan, she glamorously waltzes into a restaurant in her blonde wig to meet up with Nina. Ayan says she's like Rihanna, and Nina showed up like mashed potatoes with no butter. Plain. Okay. Let me tell you something. The way Ayan effortlessly shades these ladies in her confessionals, it is epic to behold. Okay. So they discuss Thanksgiving. We learn that Ayan is going to go to Lisa's. Ayan apologizes to Nina for what happened the other night at her dinner party, but she wants to know why Nina didn't stand up for her. So apparently, when we look at this friendship circle, Nina apparently was a lot closer to Ayan than she ever was with Caroline Stanbury. But according to Ayan, it seems as though Nina is trying to trade up in her social circle because, I mean, let's face it, you have a show that Caroline Stanbury is going to be on, and we know that people know her from Ladies of London, and the world does not really yet know Nina quite yet. So it almost paints this picture as though Nina is trying to develop a friendship with someone who she knows is already a star so that she can have that connection and leave some of her former friends in the dust, at least based on what Ayan is saying. Okay. So Nina feels like Caroline and Ayan have misunderstood each other. And Nina admits that she didn't like Caroline Stanbury when she first met her either. And Stanbury did tell her the same. And Caroline Stanbury did say as much when they first had their first scene together in the first episode. But they gave each other a chance, and now they're on the same page. Ayana thinks that Nina is a flip-flopper and also a very boring person in general. Nina wants them to talk, but Ayana is not ready. We get an interesting scene where Caroline and Sergio, her fiance, her husband at this point, are jewelry shopping. And Sergio, for some reason, is crying, like looking at her. Like he's literally got tears in his eyes looking at her trying on jewelry. We see Brooks at her house, bossing around her assistant or her nanny or whomever it is at that place. Lisa visits the non-Muslim supermarket, and we learn that pork is in a completely different part of the supermarket, and you have to be non-Muslim to enter that part of the supermarket. She's going to be celebrating her Jamaican Thanksgiving with all the fixings, and then Nina calls, and Nina wants to talk about the lunch with Ayan, and she wants to go on and 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 on over the FaceTime. And finally, Lisa is like, listen, I'm going to have to love you and leave you, boo. I got to get off this phone and tend to my child. Anyway, it's Thanksgiving and Lisa and her nanny are cooking. But meanwhile, Nina and her family are having Thanksgiving lunch with Sarah on a giant Ferris wheel. Okay. Literally, it's like a Ferris wheel, and it's big enough for a table setting and a chef and everything. And I'm thinking to myself, I need to do that when I go to Dubai. Okay, baby. I need to be up in there eating some kind of way. But anyway, We learn a lot about Nina and her husband. Her husband used to be a banker, then a businessman, and then he sold his businesses when he learned about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. And y'all know something? I mean, the people must be really making a lot of money on the cryptocurrency and the Bitcoin and whatnot. And I ain't gonna lie, I got my little investments and things like that in it. But I ain't know it was. I mean, I didn't know you could just live the lavish life like that off of it. But listen, taught me something. Anyway, um, we also learned that Nina met her husband and they hustled and they really didn't have a lot when they first got married. Sarah also talks, well, she wants to know what the secret to a long marriage is because we learned that she has been married twice. I think we learned that last episode, but then she wants also, we learned that she was the provider in her past relationships, and those relationships, or at least one of them, was very toxic. And she believes in love and she wants to be married again. All right, so over to Lisa's. Ayan and her family arrive with a goat, okay? An actual goat. Now, apparently, culturally or religiously, or I don't know what it is, and forgive me for wrong or misinterpreting it. I'm gonna get a lot of these things wrong, but I'm trying my hardest, charge it to my mind and not my heart. But apparently, bringing a goat or an animal to somebody's house and giving it to them as a gift is a token of love and affection. But what it really sounds like is you are causing me to have to now spend time and attention on some other animal and some other thing that I gotta have living and existing and running around the house, running amok and causing a mess and chaos. But it's all in the spirit of love, according to Ayan. Anyway, um, we meet Ayan's husband for the first time, and oh my God, the goat is now in the pool. Um, Ayan recaps her lunch with Nina because she's hurt that Nina didn't want to take her side because she's always been closer to her than to Caroline. So she's kind of like, Nina is over here flip-flopping and I don't like it. And she feels like she don't want to have a conversation with Caroline because she feels like Caroline Stanbury is going to be manipulative. And for whatever reason, she just don't trust Nina at this point. And suddenly the goat has disappeared. Anyway, Chanel goes to visit Sarah, and of course, she has a basket of onions on her head as a gift for her. Chanel has to move because, when they first sit down, she's number one, seated in some bad lighting. And I think, to be quite honest with you, her knowing that she's a model is her having the knowledge of being a model. A part of me wonders if she moved from that space so that she can sit in better lighting because she was not properly lit sitting in the space that she was sitting in. This is important to note, especially for Black people and people of color specifically, because oftentimes when we are on television or we are seen on television, sometimes on some shows like Basketball Wives, the Black people who it's a majority Black show are not even properly lit. And that is an issue. And so once she moved over and actually, she said she was in the sun and she was hot because of her Afro wig. But really and truthfully, once she moved seats, she was lit a lot better. I don't know if you guys picked up on that, but I felt like she understood it in her mind and was too polite to say it in that way. And so once she moved, the dynamics flipped and we could see her more clearly based on the lighting that she was sitting in. And I was like, "Ooh, you was a smart cookie, girl." Anyway, they spend some time getting to know each other, and Chanel goes into her backstory of helping her mom after her dad left and, watching her work. And then Sarah asks, have you forgiven your father for leaving? And Ayan is like, no, he tried to trick her and marry her off at the age of 14. And he tied her to a tree at one point while it was raining. And he blamed her for all of the problems in his life and the marriage. And ultimately, she had to end up going away to live with her older sister because the man had beat her so bad. She's not over and she breaks down and reveals, that Caroline saying that she didn't like her really triggered something in her. And Sarah mentions that, well, she's got a great hypnotherapist, and she reveals that she has also been through physical and mental abuse in her relationships. And she really wants to help Ayan heal and suggests that she go to the hypnotherapist to do so. We also learned that Brooks told Ayan to go to therapy, but she don't know that that therapist is going to work because Ayan is Brooks is still a bit of a mess in her mind. So she won't be going to that therapist anytime soon. So next week, I'm assuming we're going to get a little bit more fireworks with the ladies. We're getting a couple of more, scenes of the ladies kind of like getting to know each other. And so far, I'm going to give this episode, because I didn't rate it at the beginning, I'm going to give this episode a 7. I think for a second episode, I would have preferred a bit more energy in terms of, content with the ladies, but I do understand that they are just coming off an episode where we did have a lot of fireworks. And so typically when you have an episode like that, there is a cool down episode afterwards. And we still have to get to know these ladies. And I feel like these are the scenes that are setting us up to do so. Actually, I think I'm going to give it a 7.5, because I'm going to give it a 7.5 because of the edutainment factor of it all. We are learning a lot about different cultures and lifestyles as it pertains to life in Dubai. And we're really getting to understand this notion of what they are saying, that, a large portion of the population of people that are living in Dubai are actually expats from different countries. So I am appreciating getting to know some of the ladies' different cultures and backgrounds, and sort of seeing that, and definitely seeing the opulence of it all. I think that if they continue along this path, I think that this could turn out to be a very, very good franchise, and one that stands the test of time, hopefully. So with that being said, if you did not catch Chanel Ayan on Watch What Happens Live, you are definitely missing out on a treat, because she made an appearance that people will not soon forget. And I believe at a certain point in time, they had to block out the screen, because I think her tatas kept popping out of her dress. I mean, it was good. She delivered the perfect amount of shade. She was dressed like she was going to a reunion, and she looked fabulous and flawless. Oh, and Crystal from Beverly Hills was there too. Okay. And she shaded a lot of people. All right. So with that being said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button. Let me know your thoughts on Dubai. Are you watching? Are you loving? Who's your favorite character? I want to know all of those things down in the chat down below. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, that notification bell button, like I said earlier, and I will catch you guys in the next video.